Hi, this is Microdose U, and I'm Dr. Denise. I am a doctor of psychology. So today I'm talking specifically to women, although this is relevant for even if you're not a female, you know a female, and it might be relevant to understand how the different chemistry, hormonal physiology in all of us can really have an impact on how we microdose. So today what I'm looking at really is every woman's guide to microdosing, whether you are new to microdosing or you've been microdosing for a long time. And here's why this is so important, specifically for women. Not it's the case for everyone that we're always adjusting how we microdose psychedelics, psilocybin, LSD specifically. There's always going to be adjustments because we're upgrading, we're shifting, medicines shift, we adjust to the medicines adjust to us. So there's constantly an evolving process in how we're dosing and what we're doing. For women, there's going to be this other element of change that we're adjusting all the time. And here's the thing that's so important. It's not talked about a lot. So this is why I'm doing this. And the limited research that has been done, we all know that there's a lot of limitations in formal research, protocols, approvals, etc. And a lot of the research will have very strict criteria for including subjects in their research. And ironically, one of the criteria is that they often don't use women, females, in the studies, beginning studies. And I get it. They're trying to factor out variables in hormones, changes that women have hormonally. Now, everyone has hormonal changes. What specifically they're factoring out is all the variables that they know could have an impact, and it gets too confusing. So when you're doing research, you want to be able to only work with one variable. So I want to measure, let's say, age. So I don't want to, as a researcher, also throw in all kinds of other variables that may confound the study, that may complicate and lead to an inaccurate conclusion. Now, here's the thing. Research is just very convoluted in so many ways. It's very hard to know what results mean. So that's why I'm always talking about real world data. In other words, if 300,000 people say, this is what I noticed, that's real world data, as opposed to researchers gathering 100 people and say they're looking at age factors and microdosing, and they say, well, we're going to take a group of adults and we're going to look at if there's variation across the age. That's the only variable they're really changing. Or if they're looking at, say, a study wants to look just at dosage. So they're going to take a group of people, potentially all males, and they're going to vary doses and then take some measurements based on what they're looking at. Is somebody less depressed, less anxious? Yes, of course, that's the case. It can be difficult to show that in the research. And so a lot of the research, which is newer, we all know that psychedelic assisted therapies have been around forever, for a very long time, way before Western mainstream medicine. And yet the research showing these facts and variables that are newer and very difficult to really understand. So we really look at what people are saying. However, if you checked out an episode back months ago, I spoke, and I want to speak about it again today. I spoke about new research that is, I believe it's in Switzerland, actually, and they're looking at microdosing LSD as a way to assist women with premenstrual syndrome, a polycystic ovarian syndrome, different kinds of physiology, hormonal issues that happen for we're talking about younger women of menstrual age. So they are finding that microdosing LSD is potentially and showing already very promising effects on reducing some of those issues. So a lot of women will talk about that luteal phase before their menstrual cycle, the period cycle. They will feel that people will, it's very common to say, oh, I have PMS. I feel cranky. I feel bloated. I feel, not my best self. That is actually the time, that premenstrual luteal phase time. That is where we are finding more and more that a microdose of LSD is actually helpful and more helpful than psilocybin. So psilocybin during, now I'm going to go younger women and then perimenopausal, menopausal women. So bear with me for a second. I know it's a little confusing, which is why I wanted to clarify today in this episode. I know I've talked about these issues in the past. I want to clarify some important points. So for women that are of menstrual age, generally younger, first part of adulthood life women are having that regular monthly cycle. Now, there are irregularities, and there's in the younger women, they are actually finding that LSD helps with some of those irregularities, whether it's premenstrual syndrome or, like I said, PCOS. So the psilocybin in the premenstrual phase is actually more problematic. So, as you've heard me say before, and clarifying today, if you are in that premenstrual week or two and you're feeling that, you're feeling the kind of a little off or sensitive, whatever that means, something achy, even if your sleep is a little off, this is a time to skip your psilocybin or take a lower dose. If your microdose is, say, 150 milligrams, maybe you drop it back to 100 and kind of see where that is for you. So that can vary even within you from day to day. And yet that's generally the trend. The trend is psilocybin to reduce it or skip a few days and actually microdose LSD instead during that time. So I hope that clarifies. Lots of people have been asking me that question. Now, for women that are in that perimenopausal, so things are starting to change, estrogen's dropping, this throws off every part of the cycle, and women can start to notice lots of changes, certainly in the menopausal period as well, and even postmenopausal. So what we find the recommendation and the general trend in that, kind of the opposite of what I just said for younger menstrual age women. For someone in perimenopause, menopause, and even postmenopause, there's going to be a benefit in more regularly dosing on a schedule. It doesn't have to be an exact schedule. So here's how it would look. Somebody is in perimenopause, menopause, menopause. Things are either irregular or they're past the menopause. What you're going to do is you're going to regularly dose because you're not going to notice some of those shifts based on a menstrual cycle. So what you may notice is, oh, I feel a little cranky today. That's a good day to actually take a dose of psilocybin. The same microdose you're used to, maybe even a little higher by a little bit or even a little bit lower. It's also a good day to, not at the same time, but you could also take a microdose of LSD. And remember, LSD microdose, I know lots of you are less familiar. That means we're talking about a tiny speck of medicine. So if you are someone who is familiar with and is microdosing LSD, you've worked with me directly in our program, what that means is 10 micrograms, which is one spray of the medicine, 20 micrograms, pretty much that's it. That would be helpful on a day that you're feeling maybe a little sensitive or cranky or just off on some level. Hi, it's Dr. Denise. I just wanted to take a quick break here and come in and let you know what we really can do to be helpful for you if you really want to change your life. There's so much that we do here at Microdose U, and one-on-one coaching, one-on-one, very personalized assistance to really create the perfect healing path and understanding about the medicine and access to the medicine, knowing how to proceed and how to do the right pathway for you in terms of microdosing psilocybin, LSD. So click on the show notes. You're going to go to Microdose U. That's the word microdose and the letter U.com, and then click on coaching. All of that information is always in the show notes. And I am here for you. I absolutely know what it is like to
be sitting with a lot of information and not knowing exactly what to do. Oftentimes, people will tell me that just that one intensive coaching session helped them really get their path going to your highest self and really get serious about having your life exactly as you want it and having your best year ever. So just go ahead and reach out to me so we can get you all set.
So generally, the trend will be for perimenopause, menopause. You would say microdose psilocybin a couple times a week, and you would microdose LSD once the most twice a week on different days from the psilocybin. Lots of variables can fit into how you might do that, but that is the general trend. So just to recap, because it gets very confusing, it's opposite. Menstrual age women are going to, in that sort of pre-menstrual week or 10 days, 2 weeks for some people, you're going to back off the psilocybin, skip it, lower your dose. You can add, though, the LSD during that time. That's going to be a helpful time to take the LSD once or twice a week. For perimenopause, menopausal, postmenopausal women, you don't want to shift that as much. If you're feeling kind of off, you want to continue to dose with some regular schedule. Like I said, it doesn't have to be exact. So the other thing I always want to mention that's so important for everyone, male, female, doesn't matter. Your intention, whether you're dosing on a particular day or not, it is so important to set intentions to give your body and your being the desired outcome. So when you're dosing, you want to say, I'm grateful for the medicine, for upgrading for my highest best self. If you're feeling off, cranky, something sensitive, you want to state the desired outcome. You want to say something, I will feel well, physiologically, psychologically. Yes, that actually helps because every cell in your body is listening. So for menstrual age women, you want to say during that time, maybe that PMS time when you take your medicine, and even on days that you don't, may I feel well, may I feel calm and at my highest best self, physically, psychologically, in my being. Same thing for menopausal, perimenopausal women. May I feel well, may I be my highest best self in my physiological, psychological being. So I hope that helps. And like I said, this is the episode of go back and maybe listen to some of the earlier episodes. Also check out the beginner's guides at Microdose U. And this is like that little addition of like the beginner's guide or every woman's guide to microdosing these psychedelics because there are some variables. Certainly check out the show notes. And as I always say, if you join Patreon, you can directly ask me questions. You can attend a live meeting. There's constant conversation going on there, and we can really dial in and tweak what might be going on for you. Because as I said, everyone's different, and you are changing all the time. How I microdose a year ago is way different than how I microdose now. And particularly knowing how to use what I say is my apothecary of medicines. How do I use the psilocybin, the LSD? I also use Amanita, and then lots of other things in my life. So how to put that all together and know how to use each one in combination, what's the right time, which is constantly going to be a very individual process that you can become expert. You can become your own expert to help your body and being its highest best self. See you soon.